Welcome to another edition of Politics and Rhyme. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Today we are honored to have one of our heroes from North Carolina, Justice Allison Riggs. Justice Riggs, how are you doing? It's great to call you Justice Riggs after all of this that has occurred, isn't it?
It's nice to hear it, and it's really lovely to be here with you in New Orleans.
Well, look, thank you for being here. First of all, tell us the story.
So, North Carolina, very 50-50 state.
Mm-hmm.
I won my race by 734 votes out of 5.5 million cast.
Wow.
Razor thin margin. Before that margin was settled, we were still making sure that every absentee and provisional ballot was counted. So every night during canvass, I was talking to people out there, helping voters get their votes counted.
Yes.
And my margin of victory, it was less than the work that grassroots folks did in North Carolina to get me over the hurdle. So that was just till the election results were certified. Then my opponent, and he asked for recounts. You're allowed to ask for recounts, normal, all good. But when the two independent recounts confirmed that I won and that I won by 734 votes, he filed a lawsuit seeking to disenfranchise 68,000 North Carolina voters. And that began a 6-month fight to defend an election that we just already won.
Right.
And so it was in state court, in federal court, it was nonstop. We were fighting in the courtroom, and we were preparing, if we needed to be able to chase and cure 68,000 ballots.
But you were going to do it.
We were going to do it. And let me tell you, I knew we could do it because we identified and made contact with a voter, a military voter, in Antarctica, on a base in Antarctica.
Right.
And we had a plan to get his vote cured from the South Pole.
Imagine that.
That should give everyone who listened, and not just the North Carolina folks who were doing the outreach. I mean, folks all across the country were helping. When we were trying to find 68,000 voters, it's kind of like, the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Do you know somebody on this list, or do you know somebody who knows somebody? It works, and it was so effective. So while I was fighting in the courts every day and spent nearly $2 million since the election on those legal bills, I was also working closely, hand in hand, with the organizers, the canvassers, the folks in community and who knew how to connect digitally with these voters who were all over the state, the country, the world.
Right.
Because a lot of these voters were absentee voters. And so I am here today. I'm talking at Netroots Nation. I'm talking with you because I want people to understand just how powerful their work was in supporting me, in supporting this larger effort to defend lawful elections, to resist the people who think they can selectively overturn election results they don't like, and ultimately, in my case, elect people to courts where you have judicial elections who will put the Constitution and their oath first and foremost above party politics and above personal ambition.
You know what is great? And this is what I admire about the new generation that's taken over. And that is, you have the fight in you. And I don't mean to be negative here, but I must. These times require people who are willing to fight. The game is over. And when we have people and politicians, and in your case, a judge, that aren't doing that, they're putting all of our freedoms at risk. And that is why, if you noticed, everybody wanted to talk to you. Everybody wanted to see what you were doing because, again, that is what was necessary. Now, you came from rural West Virginia. And that's interesting. And the reason I bring that up is all the things that are happening in our society right now, the people that are going to be hurt the most, in as much as they think they're sticking it to the you-know-whom, really they're sticking it to the folks in our rural brothers and sisters. Why don't you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I mean, when I grew up in West Virginia, the mines were the biggest employer. Now it's Walmart.
Right.
And so I grew up with a sense of populism that wasn't about blaming someone else for
Right.
your woes, or only feeling better because you could make someone else lower.
Right.
The kind of natural organic politics that I grew up with in rural communities that were blue collar, working class, was we take care of each other.
Right.
It was the norm that you brought cookies to picket lines. We brought cookies to striking teachers, striking miners. That's what you did to protect each other. In West Virginia, I graduated public high school there. I lived there essentially my whole life. I was born in New York, but I lived in West Virginia since I was 6 weeks old. And so that left a mark on me in terms of both what it looks like to believe in your collective power, to understand the ways in which collective organizing can win fights. And sometimes you have to be a little scrappy in those fights.
You do.
You don't, if you die on a moral high ground, you're still dead.
You heard that. I love that. I love that one.
So we have to fight to protect each other. And for me, in this fight to defend the will of the voters in my state, it was never a question of would I fight. It was, I need to make sure that people see how hard I'm fighting because they deserve fighters like that. And I need to work collectively and collaboratively so that we maximize the return for all that fight, and that we call on people to use their talents and their treasures in the ways that they're most effective, and we work collaboratively together. So it was my honor to fight for the people of North Carolina, to stand up for democracy in a different way than I'd stood up for it when I was a civil rights litigator.
So when you did redistricting.
When I was arguing in front of the U.S. Supreme Court against voter suppression and against gerrymandering. My role is different now. I'm not an advocate anymore, but I am a constitutional officer.
Exactly.
And my duty is that I put my hand on a Bible and swore an oath that I would stand up for the people in my state, their rights, and that I would defend our federal constitution as it applies to everyone. And that's something not only do I take seriously, I think we need to make sure that every candidate takes seriously, because we don't want to put someone in office who is more interested ever in power and personal advantage rather than actual public service.
I want you guys to see what a fighter looks like. Whenever you see any of those other politicians out there, look at what a fighter looks like. Somebody that's actually going to go out there and not have no fear of standing up for what's right. We need you in Texas. We are going through a redistricting problem right now. Would you consider moving states just for a few months? And
there are great people fighting for the Texas Supreme Court. Look,
Right.
I know the politics in Texas is different and there's work to be done. But what my job is, besides serving the people of North Carolina, is helping folks who are fighting for state courts that will center democracy and center human rights. I can share my story and encourage folks in other states to do the same. And I understand that not every state do you get to elect your judges.
Right.
Texas does, though.
Yes.
And so I think we just have to focus in. When times are challenging, we have to find every different lever of power we have and push on them all. So in a time where we're seeing what's happening in Texas happen, never has it mattered more to get great candidates running
Right.
for the state Supreme Court and to support them as if your lives depend on it, because they
does,
might.
Yeah. I'll say it does. Now, the thing about it is, I think when people start to see people fighting for them, it lifts them up and it makes them want to do that. And I think that's what you did. I think one of the reasons, if you see the reaction that you get here at Netroots, is these people want people to look up to. These people want fighters. They're tired. And I mean, I'm an older guy. I'm tired of folks that are not out there. So whenever we see people like you and others that are really out there doing the job and fearless, it brings us not hope, but resolve. which is
Oh,
the difference.
that's very kind. Just know that I'm energized like never before. I am not done fighting. I am working tirelessly to make sure Justice Anita Earls is reelected to her seat
There you go.
in 2026. She is the only other Democrat, and our pathway to taking power back on the court in 2028 is we got to get Justice Anita Earls reelected first, and I'm working tirelessly towards that. And then in 2028, I'm going to be everywhere. We're
Right.
working together. The fighting isn't going to stop.
Yeah, and I believe is it you have a young person leading the Democratic
Yes,
Party.
the youngest
I
state,
interviewed her a few months ago.
Anderson Clayton.
Anderson Clayton. It seems like the women of North Carolina are just guys, don't take offense to it. That you have something to look up to now. But you guys have really taken off in North Carolina, and yes. To give the governor back his power, that's going to be required because a lot of power was taken from your governor over the last few years.
Yeah. I think young folks in North Carolina, we've got a fire in our belly. We know that we have to do some things differently. And that means fighting in a different way, a visible way,
Right.
and bringing people in so that they understand, like, yes, I was fighting, but I was never fighting alone.
Right.
This wasn't me that won this fight.
Yes.
It was the people
Right.
of North Carolina. And every day I talked to people who were working to defend democracy. I felt inspired because I saw them
Right.
fighting for something that was bigger than one seat, bigger than one election. And so I think if that's the mindset that we approach,
Right.
we're constantly energized.
Exactly.
And I really do think we're on to something in North Carolina, and we're trying. And I was very lucky to have a lot of people
Supporting
tell
it,
us,
yeah.
yes, support us, but also tell us that they felt inspired by what we were doing in North Carolina when times were hard
Yes.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
They saw us working together for something bigger, and it moved them. But we do need to keep it up. And I think we've got a lot of energy to
I
do
have
that.
no doubt that you're going to keep it up. What should I have asked you that I didn't?
Yeah, I would, like I said, I want people to understand that we now have a year and 3 months until the 2026 elections. The work is now. We should celebrate our victories like the one we had in North Carolina. And in fact, North Carolina outperformed every other
Yes,
swing
yes,
state in
yes.
terms of the number of Democrats that won statewide.
In fact, it's interesting that Kamala lost on the top of the ticket, but a lot of the folks underneath statewide won.
We almost split evenly all
Yeah.
the statewide seats and that was just not what we were seeing in
Yeah.
other swing states. So
Right.
we know we're on to something.
Absolutely.
I am going to keep working my rear end off in North Carolina, but also trying to encourage and support people in other states to feel like they can do what we did in North Carolina, because our fight's not over either.
Right.
So I want to keep people's energy level as high as possible going into this 2026 election cycle. There are critical races on the ballot, and now is the time to get more involved, not less. Now.
Justice Riggs, thank you so kindly
Thank
for
you
having
so
been
much
on
for having
Politics
me.
Done Right. You're great.
Thank you.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.